are live. Oh my Jiminy Christmas. We did it, folks. We did it. We got live. Here we are. We're live.
We're here.
Number 5. Johnny
Episode
5.
5. I'm sorry I missed last week. I made a terrible judgment.
What are you talking about, Atu? What do you mean? I was hoping you could finish telling us that story that you were telling us about last show, episode number 4. We missed the conclusion of it because it was such a good, endearing story that we so I'm really looking forward to the end of that story there. No, in all seriousness, Rachel and I handled it, I would say my only recommendation would be that if any of us plan to book another show on second or fourth Saturdays, my recommendation is don't. No, it's it shit happens. It's all good.
When time stops having any meaning, things get a little
yeah. I've been like all willy-nilly about people be like, hey, you want to do this on this day? And I'll be like, sure, and then like 2 days later I look at my calendar and I'm like, okay, I am free that day. I wasn't sure. I never looked. I mean, before pandemic, I was like super stoked to open up Google Calendar every 20 seconds. Yeah. Like that was what I did. I looked it up,
Scheduled life.
A scheduled life. Those of you at home right now, welcome to Mighty Late Show. This is episode number 5. We're doing it. Oh my gosh. You know what? It feels like a real thing. And the reason it feels like a real thing now, much like it did when we were doing it live at the old Caravan Lounge, it feels like a real thing now, I think, because I didn't turn my computer on literally until 7:45.
Yeah.
I turned my computer on, went into StreamYard, and just, sent you guys the links, and that was it. And here we are. Like, we're broadcasting. And I think that's one of the reasons I really love this service.
It's so
easy. That they make it so easy. Ugh.
Awesome. It's awesome.
It's awesome. It's so great. Well, let's check up from the neck up, folks. How are you, Rachel?
I'm good.
Rachel and I had our first socially distanced meal today.
We did.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We had crab cake Benedict in the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
It was lovely.
Awesome.
It was lovely.
Ooh.
Yeah. And
that sounds like dining.
Yeah.
Sounds like a what?
Fine dining.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. I mean, it's never as good as actually sitting at the restaurant and having the diner experience.
Mm-hmm.
But until then, until we can recreate, or until we can revisit that experience, this one will do. So props to Jack Holders.
Yo, crackheads.
Brian says, hello, I'm glad you found a good way to do this. Yeah, so are we. This service is really good. It's so good. Again, it's not, this also isn't the same as being there, but it's kind of nice. Uh-oh.
What happened?
I don't know, but
I got it.
Your camera was just like, hey, fuck you.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Thanks. So to answer your question, I'm good. I'm deep in Lovecraft Country. I'm about to start episode 10, and it is literally one of the best things I've seen on TV or in a movie ever. It is so good. And it's like, it's not only is it great storytelling, there's surprises all the time. They bring history in, system, and weave systematic with, and there's, and they cover all the Lovecraft shifts. So there's like sci-fi, and there's like horror gore, and there's like, they touch all the bases, And then they do some stuff like it wasn't just like that. It was like also had flavors of like Goonies and Indiana Jones, like adventure, that adventure part of it. So yeah, good show. I highly.
I know nothing about it.
I love how you asked me how I am and I described the show.
I think that's it's like, here, go ahead, ask me how I am.
Yeah,
ask me how I am.
Oh,
well, I finished season 6 of Cheers this week.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a deep dive if I've heard one. It's a deep dive in Norm.
I decided that I would at the beginning of the pandemic that I was going to pick a long series, series that lasted at least 8 seasons, and I was going to get through the whole thing, because Cheers was always one of those shows, especially as a kid, where like I half understood it and I half didn't because I was a kid, and it's a very adult show. There is nothing for children in that show. And except for like Norm and Cliff, they're sort of the Tweedledee and Tweedledum of the show. And but I don't know. And so I kind of randomly picked Cheers because no, not randomly, I take that back. I chose Cheers because I love Ted Danson. He's so good on The Good Place, and he's been good in everything I've seen him in. So I just thought, well, I wonder how good he is on Cheers. And he's very good on Cheers. Don't get me wrong, homie did some problematic shit in the 90s, for sure. Right. For sure. Definitely acknowledging that. But when you watch Cheers, there's something problematic in every single episode.
Yeah, there's a lot of like almost rape and like
I mean, it's just he's such a womanizer on the show. And he's so creepy about it. Like, seriously, he meets. So I just watched last night the first 2 episodes with Kirstie Alley, who's also problematic. But
Kirstie.
Thirsty Alley. That's my rap name. And so it's the first 2 episodes with Kirstie Alley, and seriously, within like seconds of Sam meeting Kirstie Alley, Sam's character meeting Rebecca Howe, he's like, go to bed with me. Basically, like flat out, like, you and I need to get busy.
That's how you do it, right?
I guess so. I don't know.
I feel like that's like the sign of the times, though. Like, they feel like that was an era. Like you saw a woman and then you laid your claims on her with visually and verbally, and you whistled and you threw a tube steak at her and said, "Hey, I'm sorry, my meat fell on the ground." I don't know.
It was definitely okay to objectify women in the 80s, and it was
horrible.
And apparently, it was okay to carry around a tube steak too.
And then we all bought Doc Martens, and everyone was like, "Stop it, you guys!"
Yeah, stop it, or we stomp it.
We have Doc Martens now.
Yeah,
so
some people they get stomped.
1992. We got to move on.
Yeah.
So.
I never owned a pair of Doc Martens. I was always jealous of people who did.
I bought a pair.
Yeah. Oh wait, I might have had like the shoe version, like not the boot version. I've never been a boot kind of guy.
Yeah.
Never.
They're supposed to be like light boots. Like they're lighter than most boots. That's what I hear about Doc Martens. Am I incorrect about this? Because I don't know.
No, they're good. Once you break them in, you can wear them for 20 years, and they have like a lifetime guarantee. So if you like tear, like Zippo, so if you like tear the sole or whatever, you can send it into the factory and they'll fix them and send them back to you.
Oh, can you imagine if you? Can you imagine being able to send your torn sole?
Yeah,
into a factory.
Send it back to the factory and get it back.
Lifetime warranty. I feel like I just came up with like one of those upcoming boards in front of a church.
Yeah.
One of those.
Happening.
Yeah. Is your sole torn? Do you need to send it back to the factory? Lifetime warranty, always at our church.
Love you. Yeah.
It's such a Jeebus thing. What I just said. Oh, Jeebus.
How are you? How are you, dude? Atu,
how are you?
I'm teetering on the edge of disbelief, but then also predictable outcomes that happen when you see the evidence before you, but you're not willing to acknowledge it. But then you're like, all right, you know what? Let's let this thing play out and see what really happens. And then when it does, it's kind of disappointing, and then you're kind of mad about it. And then you just kind of want to like yell and scream at the person. But then you also know like, hey, that's not really going to help things at all. It's just going to like make it worse. But then you're trying to find ways to express your anger that are healthy. But then you're just like, why even make the effort? It doesn't seem like this person put in the effort to like really try and resolve the situation in the first place. So why would I even put the effort in to like, do anything to like change it? So then it's just like, okay, well, no more effort needed. Now I need to find something else to do. So
oh man,
I will be focusing my efforts on other things that bring more rewards, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to just study harder, I think, and leave the women alone.
This was a hypothetical?
No,
it's not a hypothetical. This is the actual.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't sure. I was like, I feel like Atu's talking from like real life. Is this the real wife?
Yeah, so
a lady.
Some things are predictable, right? Like I always get into these situations, and then I realize that like maybe I shouldn't be getting into these situations. Maybe I should just sit on my hands and let it happen. I don't know. I don't know, dude. I'm wrong a lot. I hate being wrong. But I'm also right. I was very right about the situation. It's just not the time or space, or I don't know, dude. Maybe I need to go to another dimension. I don't know. Do anybody in dimensional travel where I can go to the place where like things actually work out?
I do, but they're all fucks. They're all assholes, like Elon Musk. Like you don't want to mess with any of those dudes,
Yeah.
We need some nice people in transdimensional travel, but it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
We will. We'll get there. I hope my kid invents the teleporter. That's one of my dreams. I go to bed dreaming of that. Just pushing him to building the teleporter.
Atu, can I make a commentary real quick? I can always tell when someone's going through it with the kid, because they always then change their user photo on some form of social media to the point when the kid was the cutest and the youngest and the least trouble.
Yep.
Does that sound familiar?
Yep.
Yeah. It's scarily accurate.
Yeah.
This guy's got gumption and spirit, and he's a mastery of the simplicity of language. So one day I'm in my room and I'm folding up my pants and putting them on a hanger, and he goes, "Wow, those are some big pants." And just keeps walking. Then I heard him in the hallway go, "What size are those?"
Damn. Oh, my grandmother was pretty good at that too. Back in the 90s, I want to say around 96, 97, I'm living at my grandma's house in Sunnyvale. I'm 21, itching to move out, itching to get out on my own. And it's just me and my grandma and one of my aunts living at my grandma's house. And one day I come home from fucking around, and she comes home, and she said, it's like afternoon. She throws some new pants on my bed. She goes, "I got you some pants. I was at the store. I got you some pants." And I was like, "Thanks, Grandma." And I'm like on my, 90s computer. And eventually I finally go over to the bed. I pick up the pants, and they're size 50. Size 50 in men's pants.
My mom did it to me one time, too.
Well, hold on. There's a reason for it. I go to my grandma. I go, "Grandma, these are size 50. She goes, "Well, you're in 48s now. She goes, you were in 46s last month, and you were in 44s 2 months before that. She's like, so I'm just getting you ready. And I was like, thanks, Grandma. And I went in my room, and I was just like, I need to stop eating forever. I've been in size 38 since, I don't know, for probably the last 15, 20 years now. So, yeah, but I never once wore those size 50 pants.
Oh, good.
It was an evil grandma method of getting me to wake the fuck up. You know, like I'll always probably be chunky, you know, but I was big. Yeah. I was 318 at the time, and yeah, it was wild. It was just a lot of sitting on my butt, not doing much, you know, a lot.
Easy to do.
Oh yeah, especially now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I've never spent so much time sitting over a summer.
Yeah.
This is the most I've ever just sat around. I mean, actually, in the last 2 months, I've been doing a lot more getting up and going out. You know, I want to say if anyone watching is in San Jose, go check out Circle A Skate Shop. Bob has a cafe in there now. And he's running that thing really nicely, and it's really cool. And he's got a lot of outdoor seating now too, so you can just go in the Paseo de San Antonio,
great.
at Third. I think that's on Third, if I'm not mistaken. Great, it's great.
San Carlos, Paseo de San Antonio, the Paseo
de San Antonio.
Paseo de San Antonio.
But he's been talking about I was talking to him about putting on some live events once that can happen again. I think it'd be a great spot. I think it'd be a really great spot.
The Repertory Theater. You know, the Repertory Theater has a roof situation.
I know, and it's awesome. It's really awesome, and I don't think it would be that hard to get events going up there.
I don't think it would be that hard at all.
I mean, not right now. You can't talk loudly in a venue. If you can get into that venue, and you won't be able to. I don't see that happening this year. I don't see that happening until next spring, honestly. I think that numbers are going to go back up in the winter as people, you know. A great way to make sure that a virus keeps going is by telling people it's okay to be inside a building with other strangers. That's a great way to ensure a virus spreads. And I don't know. I'm like,
like we're almost at herd immunity already. We might as well just let it go.
I mean, I'm not immune. You know, I've been doing really good, staying home, you know, and like being vigilant. I've been doing really good. And herd immunity isn't going to do me any good, not being immunocompromised, you know? Like,
well, I mean, after they get the vaccine, I think the vaccine is going to come down. I think it's going to be like a yearly vaccine that they're going to have to develop, just like the flu. And then it's just going to go from there. And we're just always going to be wearing masks from now on. Like,
it's going to be, you're going to see masks are part of the new culture.
100%.
Yeah. And I welcome it. I'm fine with it. I hate how sweaty my face and beard gets under here. So sweaty to the point where I'm like standing and having a chat with Bob at his cafe over on Paseo de San Antonio. And my beard is dripping under my mask.
Yeah.
Just dripping onto the floor. And I was like, I just wanted to say, like, Bob, I'm sorry, you know? But I'm like, he's an old skater. He doesn't care, you know?
Yeah.
Bob was in one of the Back to the Futures. He was the stuntman. He was the skate. He was Michael J. Fox's skateboarder stunt person.
Yeah, I think when they went Back to the Future, like he was the one that did the whole sequence with the moon board or whatever.
Oh, probably. I don't know how many movies he did, but he
did at least 2 of them.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
He's a really nice dude to chat with. He's
interesting. He's one of the more interesting people I've ever met in San Jose. Like,
for
sure. Like,
he knows. Like he was He was at the sort of the beginning of skater culture in San Jose back in the late 70s, early 80s. Like he
was
really,
the guy. Like I remember. Yeah.
And I didn't know it, but Thrasher magazine, like the skater magazine, was started by 2 Willow Glen high school students.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a San Jose magazine. I had no idea.
Magazine and Lowrider are magazines that started in San Jose. Lowrider.
I knew about Lowrider.
Yeah.
That one.
Lowrider.
That's pretty sick though. That's kind of like history. San Jose can like claim it's like this is our shit, B.
Oh, we like San Jose. San Jose established a lot of the skater culture that we know of today. What a perfect place for it too, right? It's a flat valley, you know, like where better to ride a bike or ride a skateboard or roller skate, you know? I mean, I imagine there used to be like a ton of roller rinks in the area. I mean, I remember various roller rinks when I was a kid.
There was Aloha for sure. And then they had one in Milpitas and
are you talking about now or are you talking about back in the day?
No, back in the day. The one where we know Liz, where she picked up the skates from. That place was called Aloha. It was Aloha. For at least 30 years. It was a skate rink in San Jose. Yeah, flat.
I see. Wait, so did she just take over the name?
I think she bought the rights and everything and took the skates, before they made it into a furniture store.
Interesting.
Which then you drive by it now and you still see furniture store going out of business. They're one of those perpetually going out of business furniture stores where you're supposed to get deals, but they mark it up 1,000%, and it's like, a deal.
Somebody was telling me that there's either a tech place, some store, some retail store in Sunnyvale or Santa Clara that they've had a going out of business sign since the 80s on their front. Yeah, since the 80s.
Man, what a strategy in business.
Right? Like, what, are you just getting tourists at that point? You know?
I feel like that's what America should do. Like after Donald Trump is out of office, is just put a big old sign across America going out of business.
Yeah,
he ruined it all. Just perpetually everything's going out of business. Oh my god.
I need everyone to make sure they vote. I know this seems random, but I promised Otto that I would get him a new president for his birthday.
I need a new president.
His birthday's on the 3rd of November.
Yeah.
Like what a it's not the first time your birthday's landed on an election day, but it's the first time it's really mattered.
For whatever reason, it happens every 4 years.
Yeah.
So every 4 years, my birthday lands on an election day. And every
4 years? What do you mean?
So
it's always November 3rd, right?
My birthday's November 3rd, and November 3rd pops up on a Tuesday a lot, B. So usually my birthday pops up on a Tuesday. That's an election year.
Yeah.
And I think I got election year the first time Obama went in. I could be wrong. I need to double check my statistics.
I don't remember. See, I'm going to look it up. Election dates throughout history. That should give me the answer, right? That's a good word. Dates of U.S. presidential election events since 1789. Wow, that is because the election used to be in January. Then it moved to the second election in 1792 was on November 2nd. So I'm going to see how many times it landed on November 3rd. So in 1992, when Clinton was elected, was on November 3rd.
There you go. I remember that one. That was
the last time before that was November 3rd was when after Kennedy was assassinated, Lyndon Johnson took office November 3rd, or the election was November 3rd, 1964. So, and then before that it was 1936. Before that, it was 1896. So it's like it seems like it's once a generation or so. So this is the first one since '92 where the election was on November 3rd.
My birthday from before. Just didn't know which one. We got Clinton. That was good. He was playing jazz music then.
Yeah, Clinton and Bush.
Clinton apparently rode on trips on Epstein's plane with Epstein.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were both.
I mean, but is it like do you think that that's evidence that Clinton did heinous shit?
Yeah.
Come on,
I mean, Atu, you hang out with some of the worst human beings on the planet.
Damn.
Call themselves comedians. No, I'm kidding. I'm just messing with
you.
Sad but true.
It's like this. Like I hang out with everybody because I feel like everybody has a voice, and like there is a line in the Decider Rata that says, even the dull and ignorant have a story, So I feel like you have to take everybody as they are, and yeah, there are some people out here that do some wild boy shit, but that don't stop them from being human.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. I just think that there are humans in the world that are going to be it's compatibility, right? And to me, I see it as
I'm one of those people that I'll always do something once or like be around something once, and then I like make it up for my mind. But like, how people tell you how wild shit can get, and then you're in a situation where it's potentially that wild, but you don't really see what they're talking about. Like something is just an exaggeration. And I can imagine that if Bill Clinton's hanging out with Epstein, he might not know the depths of what's going on with Epstein. You feel me? Like Epstein is showing the best side of himself because he values this relationship and he doesn't want it to go like crazy. You know what I'm saying? But the people that he doesn't have to do that with, he's gonna take them to the depths of the fucking hell and shit. But I feel like we all have relationships like that where we compartmentalize who we are around that person, and they don't know the full gamut. I think we all do that. So I can imagine, even if Bill Clinton had the time to hang out with Epstein, it usually was in like some very elaborate, Epstein's like walking him by the hand through some wonderful shit he's never experienced before.
They have pictures of him on his party jet going to his party island.
Yeah.
They were like at a museum together or like at a charity event together. It was on a plane with,
cocaine and whores. Yeah, like that's what they went to go do. Cocaine and whores.
Dave Chappelle I was watching the new David Letterman thing, the Dave Chappelle interview. I don't know if you saw
I watched that. That was pretty good.
So good, but he addressed that a little bit where everybody makes mistakes, everybody fucks up, nobody is perfect.
Right.
And we as an audience and as a culture do not allow for people to change or improve or
look at
moral understanding. We'll judge somebody on some shit that happened 30 or 40 years ago, not taking into account any changes that person might have gone through. That being said, the man got a blowjob in the Oval Office and got caught and still went on the party plane. He didn't learn shit. And like that is a big condition.
I think
men in power is like they do dumb shit and get caught and don't care. And they don't care. There's no lesson learned. There's no growth or there's nothing there.
I think and honestly, like I agree with both of you in certain levels. I think with what Atu was saying, I do think that there's some opportunity there to say, hey, I didn't know certain things were going on, but then from that point on, you change your behavior and you say, now that I know, I'm going to stay away from these folks, right? Whereas with Rachel, with what Rachel's saying, I think like, yeah, I don't think Bill Clinton learned any lessons.
Yeah.
Why would he? He was one of the most powerful human beings in the world, you know, like,
Kill a dog.
Like there's no need for him to learn a lesson. Yeah. You know, he's set, you know, and I think that's where power corrupts, is that you can deny, you can hurt people, you can fly, you can kill people with drones and still be beloved, and you know that you'll still be beloved. You know, it's you know, it's weird. Like, I'm gonna wipe out generations of people. Yeah. Just with the flick of a wrist, you know, just like I'm going through Tinder, you know, I'm just gonna, go ahead, General, send your troops, march all over.
Bin Laden, though. I mean, Obama got Bin Laden.
What was Bin Laden doing at the time?
Hanging out in his bed. He had porn on. That's what they said when they rolled up on him. He was choking the curry chicken. Why is it gonna be curry?
What if it's Burger King? What if it was? I don't understand. No, but I mean, I get it. I think it's most wanted man in the world, you know, and it just becomes a game. You got to go and catch the guy who did this big bad thing, right? I guess I understand that, but it's just like, for me, I see it as a. I'm curious as to whether or not human beings will ever get to the point where we realize like killing anyone is not a good idea. It's just not a good idea, and we won't stand for it. That they're, you know, like basically Osama bin Laden got the death penalty. And again, no one's going to argue that it was bad that he died. No one's going to say, you know, he shouldn't have been killed. But I just wonder, like, why is that a mark on like the goodness of Barack Obama, that he made sure Osama bin Laden was killed, was, you know, assassinated or whatever? Why is that a mark why is that a check in the box of goodness for Barack Obama and his administration? Why is that? Why do we see, like, that should be something like, I remember hearing about it on the news. I was in a bar in some state somewhere on tour, February 2011, I want to say. And I remember my friends and I sitting at the table and Obama being like, we killed Osama. We got him, you know? And just all of us being like, huh, and people in the bar cheering, you know? Yeah. And I'm like, why are you cheering death? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like we should be mourning that it even had to happen. You know, we should be mourning.
Perspective you have, because like I think like historically, America's been like an incredibly violent place. Like before movie theaters, people used to go to like public hangings and shit, and you know, witch burnings and witch dunkings,
and then send their families postcards of it,
and go to lynchings, like public lynchings, and all these different things. So there is. I mean, look at the movie It. Like, I don't know if you've seen this film, the most recent iteration of, you know, It. There was It 1 and It 2, but these films are incredibly like vivid and violent and scary. But there is some bloodthirstiness that American society has that has run unchecked for many years. It comes from somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I think that the animal kingdom, which we are a part of, whether we like it or not, is it's built for. I mean, when you think about what your cells are doing, when you think about what your atoms are doing, crashing into each other, doing crazy shit, you know, Like we're just bigger versions of the violence that is the universe.
Ooh.
You know, I mean that's my take on it. You know, and I think like when you look at what any solar system is doing, you know, it's just shit flying around crashing into itself. You know, and I think that we're a product of that. We are built of those same materials. You know, and I don't know that we know how to be. Necessarily, I don't know that we know how to rid ourselves and free ourselves from violence in the grand scheme of things. And I think it's a pendulum.
I think we're really young as a species, you know, and we're just not that evolved yet. And so violence is our culture, you know.
Yeah,
and
it really is.
If we survive this violent part, this you know, rabidly religious and extremely violent, and you know, then and hopefully we can evolve into some kind of Star Trek future. But America is a weird spot in the world because we are an extremely violent culture that pretends like we're not. You know, like we pretend like everything is like that, we're not like that, you know. And we're not only like that, we propagate it on people and then act like they're the bad guys, you know. It's such a, you're talking about like Osama bin Laden, it's like we cheer, he's our bad guy, you know. But the people that like Osama, they didn't cheer about that. But you're right. Thou shalt not kill, right? Right? Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill. Golden rule. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. No, we shouldn't cheer for that, you know. Of course not.
My dear friend Robert Lashley says the skeptical conservative watcher / defender of George Floyd's video is painfully close to the public hanging watcher to me. He's saying, in short, all y'all are right. Thank you, Robert. Yeah.
It's part of our cultural identity in a lot of ways, like no matter what. But then you have our indigenous cultures that didn't believe in that kind of concept of like, you know, murder. You know, murder is different. Genocide is different than like a naturally occurring death, you know? So we do have that difference. And so the cultures that participated in genocide and murder are okay with it. They're okay with the finality of it, the brisk life that you will have. You know, that's where we get outlaws from, and the Bonnie and Clydes and whatnot. Like this death doesn't matter in the end to them. Like getting their name in lights matters more than anything else, or whatever that desire is.
Yeah.
But I think I'm thankful of the human condition in a way where we have such diversity in perspectives and approaches. But it is crazy. It is crazy.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy.
It makes me nervous at Target.
Yeah, and I mean, we've all got like low key anxiety right now with the election right around the corner. You know, I know we're all feeling it. I've got ants in my.
It's a bubble in.
Dude, it's like, I truly have no idea what the outcome is going to be. Like,
yeah,
because I have no idea what the truth is anymore.
Everything I'm reading points to, no matter what happens with this election, is that the electorate is moving left. I'm moving right, but is moving left, and I mean that bodes well for folks like myself and for you guys, but it also makes me wonder, like just because we might switch out the president doesn't mean that we're switching out the electorate that doesn't agree with our ideals. They're not going anywhere. It's like we're not removing anyone. We're just saying, like, the person that seems to represent you best doesn't represent us or the majority, and never has, never been a majority. But we need this person out, and we need somebody that represents us better on the world stage. And Yeah, I think it's part of the pendulum swing, but I feel like the pendulum has been swinging wider and faster over the last 20 years. You know, I don't remember there being uproars in the early 90s when I first voted. The first time I voted for in any election, I don't remember there being uproars. I don't remember there being like huge divisions. You know, my grandmother was a Republican, I was a Democrat, and we could see eye to eye on so many things. You know, I could have a conversation with her, a grown-up adult conversation. She voted for medical marijuana. She felt like it was important to, you know, to help people, you know, even as a Republican, a lifelong Republican, till the day she died. You know, there's no way she voted for Bill Clinton. There's no way she voted for him. And I didn't get to vote until 96. And I think by the time I got home from the polls, which I was like very last minute, it was like they closed at 8, and I think I got home at like 7:50 from voting. My grandmother drove. She's like, "Did you vote yet?" And I said, "No." She's like, "All right, let's go." And she made me get in the car and drove me to the polls, you know, knowing I was gonna vote for not her candidate, you know?
Yeah.
But I think I voted for, I don't think I even voted for Bill Clinton. I feel like I voted for Nader that year.
Nader?
Yeah, because that's what it was. It was because in 96, which was the first time I voted, by the time I left the house to go, it was already being decided for Clinton. It was already being decided for Clinton, and I thought, well, I might as well give my vote to a third party then. Since he's already won it, I might as well give it to somebody else in the hope that it'll boost their chances for campaign financing for the next election. But so I think I voted for Nader that year. Then I voted for No, I didn't vote in 2000. I just never made it down to the polls. And then and that changed. And then because George Bush won, I have voted ever since.
Yeah.
And you know, and I mean, I think like this is going to be one of those elections. It's going to make people vote for the rest of their lives. You know, and they say if you can get people to vote young, you can get people to vote as soon as possible. They will engage in every election from that point on, or they're likelier to engage the younger they vote. So as soon as you turn 18, get out there, vote. And they're one of the measures or propositions that we should talk about is lowering the age of voting in the primaries, right? So if you're going to be 18 by the election, you can vote in the primaries at 17 as long as you're going to be 18 by the time the election rolls around.
I have some numbers here. Early voting in battleground states, ages 18 to 29. So in Florida in 2016, there were 44,000 early votes. And this year, 257,720. In North Carolina in 2016, 25,000 people between 18 and 29 voted early. So far, 204,986 have voted.
Wow.
Michigan in 2016, 7,000 people voted early. And
in Michigan,
and as of now, 145,201.
I mean, if that doesn't give you hope, I don't know what will.
It gives me hope. For sure.
You know, like it's you know, I mean,
people are coming out. You know,
the numbers are double and triple in every municipality.
But I mean, in Michigan, it sounds like it's I don't know how you say 12 uppled. It's like 15 uppled.
Yeah, I mean,
the 2018 election, there was like all these long lines, and people were like, "I'm not going to be in that line right now."
Well, also too, I mean, who wants to be in line for? You know, I mean, I know people who stood in 5, 6, 7, 8 hour lines to vote this year. You know, I know folks. My friend Karen in Georgia, or no, sorry, she's in New Orleans. You know, she stood in line for hours hours. She took a picture of the line that she was in, and she's like, "This sucks, but I have to, I have to."
In Texas, they only have one polling place per county, and they took it to court and fucking lost.
Which are they doing mail-in? Are they allowing mail-in ballots in Texas?
No,
because it's
you have to go in person, and they only have one place you can go
in the whole county. So some of those counties have very few people, and some of them have millions. And there's one polling place. So I mean, it's deliberate voter suppression.
Yeah.
It's deliberate to deliberal.
Deliberate to deliberal. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
See. I mean, there's a big part of me that's like, it doesn't matter how many people vote. If he doesn't give up power peacefully, if he says it's a lie.
Yeah. But he also, that at the same time, he has to have an administration that's willing to sit with him and say, we agree. And then he has to have, the military has to agree to the coup, right? Because that's what it is. It would be a coup, because then he would basically be denying the peaceful transfer of power.
That's right. And his term expires on January 20th. He's no longer the president.
Yes.
Unless he's reelected.
And so as of January 21st, if he doesn't leave office, he needs one, a White House full of people that won't get him arrested. He needs to have the backing of essentially the GOP. Then the GOP becomes a rogue party. And the U.S. becomes a dictatorship. That's the outlook. But I mean, we're talking about an old man.
Dictatorship.
What's that?
I think they have imperialistic intentions.
I think it's possible. I think that honestly, I think Mitch McConnell, who is the go-between between the GOP, the Senate, which is the most powerful portion of the GOP, right?
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell's the go-between between the White House and the Senate, right?
Right.
And so I think he's looked at this situation as, I don't like the man, but he's a wrecking ball, and we need to get in the White House, And I think Trump has been a wrecking ball for a dying party that is stuck in the past, that is full of traditionalists who are only interested in staying in power. And all they have to do if he loses is they have to say, okay, we stand behind the Constitution, we stand behind this, we stand behind this. Otherwise, you're gonna see a lot of folks going to jail if the military and the rest of the staff of the White House don't agree to the coup. If they don't agree to it, if they don't agree to sticking with Trump, who is not interested in being in power in the way that we require, right? He has no interest in that. He wants to watch TV all day and be an old man, an old rich man who's in debt to his eyeballs. He's trying to figure out ways of setting himself up so that he's got opportunity for the rest of his life and his kids and his grandkids.
Yeah.
What's that, Atu?
I said some people say that's why he ran for president in the first place, is because he was in such debt that there was really no way for him to get out from behind.
Yeah, I've heard all kinds of thoughts that he wanted to start his own network for television, because that's what he's most interested in. How many times have you heard a president before him talk about ratings? How many times? Never. I've never once heard a president use the word ratings that had anything to do with television. How many times have you heard Trump say it? He's not.
He's not on Twitter every day talking some level of trash where I don't think I ever remember Obama even being like you know what I'm saying? Like they had Instagram, I think, a little bit.
Dude had to be real careful and very selective with his words, right? Because he was the
he wore a suit that was off color, and they like, who is this guy? Like,
tan suit.
They went.
What is wrong with you? Yeah. What's wrong with you, tan suit?
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say, like, it was an ugly suit, but you know, I mean,
damn,
it was an ugly suit. But but how many years later is it? And this is the first time I'm saying it out loud. Like, I don't care. I really don't care. And honestly, if they hadn't taken a picture of it and made a big deal of it, I wouldn't have known about it. You know.
I'm just glad it wasn't purple. I'm just glad it wasn't purple, because if he had came out in a purple suit or something like that,
he should have worn a purple suit the day Prince died. Honestly, he should have. That's the day you wear a purple suit. You know. I honestly think. I think Trump's going to. I mean, his party, his people are going to do everything they can to legitimize him winning again. They're going to try, but I don't know. Like, he's pulling all of his ads in the Midwest. He's run out of money. You know, like he's not campaigning. He is not campaigning, and I think that there's a at least a small part of him, and probably a larger than small part of him, that is not interested in staying in the White House. Like, he wants to golf. He wants to, you know. I think it's run its course for him. And
the part that he'll probably go to jail if he doesn't get reelected.
Well, at one of the rallies he said, you know, who knows? I might leave the country. You know, if I lose, I might leave the country. You know, like. Here's the deal. Like, whatever happens with Trump, you know, like my curse on Trump would be for him to fall every day, once a day. He's going to fall. And it's going to be a tumble. It will never kill him, but it will injure him severely.
He's breaking a couple bones and then has to go through the rehab.
He's just covered in bruises all the time. You know? Yeah. He is hurting himself every day. That's my curse, you know. And I know because I'm a pacifist, you know. I want him to hurt himself, you know. I'm mostly joking. I would like to see him, you know, get brought up on charges.
You want to talk about the propositions now? Having a hearing very cool.
Yeah, I couldn't watch that debate.
I watched the debate.
I could do it. Yeah, Nick.
Yeah. Oh, can you imagine? Can you imagine politicians on stage on shrooms? You know, on Molly.
We could like make them do that on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
like, oh, you want to be president? All right. Well, we need to see how you handle the economy on weed. You know?
Yeah, let's see. Let's have you guys do mushrooms. Call out Major Laser. Get a nice big old foam pit. Like, here, work out of the economy after you get done with this shit, bitch.
Dude, you know, there's been more meth going through the White House than anything else.
Meth. Oh, that's what I forgot. The country boys like meth.
The vitamin shots, JFK, Jackie O, that whole administration was on meth.
What?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Straight up. And Willie Nelson smoked a joint on the roof of the White House with Jimmy Carter's son. True story. That's dope, right?
Yeah, that is pretty smooth.
I would love to smoke on the roof of the White House with Willie Nelson. Like, you can't get...
One of these days it's going to be legal in DC.
More America than that, unless Dolly Parton was like playing a guitar in the background. Something.
That's pretty ill.
That's good stuff.
Let's try to get through the propositions really quick.
Oh, right.
Cool.
Let's so
Proposition 14. I got
14.
I got the summary and everything pulled up.
I'm going to be reading off of PeteRates.com. What's that?
All I got is the facts. I'm looking at the California general election voter information guide from our government. Our state voter guide. There's propositions 14 through 25.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I voted already. I dropped my.
So did I.
So did I too. Yeah. I voted.
Did you get your text message?
I got my text message. My ballot has been accepted, and my vote will be counted.
Yeah, that's that made me feel so good to get that text message and email. I was like, thank you, county, thank you, Santa Clara County.
It's a good one.
Good job.
Unless they're just bullshitting us.
Oh, can you imagine?
I dropped my ballot off at the county registry's office.
Yeah. I'm just so fragile, PTSD, gaslit from the last 4 years. I don't believe anybody anymore.
But that's why we're in a point now where it's so important for us to. We need a win, is what we need. We need a win so that we know that the system is not a total sham anymore.
Right. Completely corrupted.
And when I say we need a win, I mean we need to take some power back. I say what you will about the Electoral College. Say what you will about that. It's gonna be a while before that gets an overhaul or abolished.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a while. It's and when you look at how much Trump won the Electoral College by, it is the thinnest margin. Yeah. He got those electoral votes by the thinnest margins in just 5 states. Mm-hmm. And I mean, shit's broken, and it shouldn't be this way.
Yeah, it came down to a few counties. Came down to a few counties. And we got this mess, And now, granted, I mean, I don't know if whoever else would have taken office, Hillary, obviously. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know that anyone could have handled, all the police brutality. Was that elevated because Trump was president? I like to think so.
I think so.
Yeah, probably. Very, very likely.
He's a hate monger and a shit stirrer and a racist, and he has given people who feel that way also a safe space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
true.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
All right.
That was the way forever and ever and ever. It's never really stopped. You know what I mean? It's always been that way. It's always been fucked up. There's always been brutality. And we see it more now because of the internet, because of video cameras, because of
cell phones.
It's been there, but 100% the Trump administration has exacerbated these incidents.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Agreed. I don't think Charlottesville, North Carolina wouldn't have happened without if the Trump administration wasn't around. I don't think.
Where he said there was good people on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
After Heather Heyer got hit by a car, the protest.
Yeah.
The good people on both sides thing.
Okay. Prop 14.
Yes.
Prop 14 is here's the summary. $5.5 billion in bonds to fund research into medical uses of human stem cells. This is an expansion of a 2004 bond, which was needed at the time because the Republican administration had blocked federal funding of such research. The need to continue state funding is no longer so urgent. And in this crazy year, so I'm reading the summary of why PeteRates.com, why he says no on Proposition 14. And his reasoning is that that because of COVID, he goes, when this was written, he was just going to run his endorsement of Prop 71 from 2004, which gave stem cell research money in California, state of California, because George W. Bush, his administration killed it. They were like, no stem cell research, no way, that's wrong, it's bad. And so California was like, well, what if we just did our own? What if we funded our own? Because all the federal law did was just say, we won't fund stem cell research. The federal government won't fund it. So the state of California was like, well, what if we'll go ahead and give money through the taxpayers, and we'll pay for it. And that funding's running out. And Pete Rates, his take on it is that because this was put on the ballot before COVID, he feels as though now's not the time to be funding stem cell research or spending that much money on stem cell research, right? It's $5.5 billion. I voted yes anyway on this one because I feel like that funding is going to go toward figuring out so many different ailments and birth defects and diseases and what have you. I feel we should always be studying, always. A, B, S. Always be studying. But I don't know. I mean, but he makes a valid point on why we shouldn't be funding it right now. I still didn't agree with him. How did you guys vote on this?
I voted no.
Yeah.
You voted yes, Rachel?
Yeah, I voted yes. I agree. Yeah, it's $7.8 billion from the state. And yeah, times are tough and shit, but like, where the hell's all that lottery money going? You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
I feel like there's always more money than they say there is in terms of certain things,
Mm-hmm.
So I did vote yes. I voted yes for that.
I'm sorry about it like that. I voted no. I was just like, no.
No.
Is it because you oppose stem cell research or?
No, I just think they already got funding for it. We don't have any results from the funding that they're currently using. I don't know. I just didn't. It didn't seem like that important to me in my mind right now to be voting for it. I think it was just sometimes, allocation of resources. You're like, well, what does this really mean, and who is really getting this money? And when I was looking at all the information that was put out about it, they didn't have any specifics about who was going to be spending that money and how and what the research they were doing. So I felt like it was all general. Like, I guess they may be working on all these different things, but there's no, hey, this is going to a specific entity. This is going to a specific type of research that will help.
Is it going to labs and universities around California?
Yeah, I don't know. So I felt like no.
I feel like we spend so much money on other things that are like detrimental to our health, like more roads and more cars and the just things that generate pollution, what have you. Whereas this is, I mean, it's all going to making humanity better physically, that's how I see it. So, but yeah, I hope this discussion helps folks make a decision on Prop 14. Next, shall we move on?
Yeah,
sure.
Prop 15
increases funding sources for public schools, community colleges, and local government services by changing tax assessment of commercial and industrial property. Initiative constitutional amendment. So its summary says taxes such as properties based on current market value instead of purchase price. Fiscal impact: increased property taxes on commercial properties worth more than $3 million, providing $6.5 billion to $11.5 billion in new funding to local governments and schools.
So basically what it means is buildings in California are only assessed. The value of a building is only assessed when it's bought, and then it gets locked at that price, at that assessment, for as long as you own the house or the building, and with a 2% maximum annual increase. So if Prop 15 were to pass, commercial and industrial land and buildings will be reassessed at market rates every 3 years, no matter what. Not when they're purchased, but every 3 years from that point on. Small property owners, which is less than $3 million in value. So if you own a house that's $2 million, this doesn't apply to you. You don't. This does not include you.
Your house is worth $20 million.
If your house is worth over $3 million, or your building is worth over $3 million, or your land is worth over $3 million,
commercial
right?
Commercial property,
right? So, and industrial land and buildings.
Yeah.
Agricultural does not count, and it's basically, and so it's a pretty big step. I voted yes.
Me too.
I voted yes as well. But this particular proposition is big because it reverses some statutes that are in Constitutional Proposition 13, and so it reverses one of the things that happened in that law where we lost funding to schools and colleges and municipalities and stuff like that. This will put more money in our general fund to spend on education and infrastructure and stuff like that. So I think the overall impact of this would be really good, where we can get more money in our schools, more money.
Basically, if you own a property that's $3 million, right, or more, in the city, chances are you may not even live here. You're somewhere else. So you're getting a fat deal with the current state. If this passes, so much more money is going to come into into this fund from these taxes, from big businesses. If you own a property that's worth $3 million or more, you got bank, you got money. And you this big fat loophole just lets you pay next to nothing for the value of your property in terms of taxes. And it's really not fair.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
3 yeses.
Me.
Right. Let's see here. 16.
16, the affirmative action vote.
Allows diversity.
To reestablish affirmative action in the state of California.
Yeah, it says permits the government decision-making policies to consider race, sex, color, ethnicity, or national origin in order to address diversity by repealing constitutional provision prohibiting such policies. Fiscal impact: no direct fiscal impact on state or local entities. The effects of the measure depend on the future choices of state and local government entities and are highly uncertain.
This one's a big fat yes to me.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing because we've had a period of time where we had affirmative action before, and we had without affirmative action, and the person that got rid of affirmative action was a black dude. He was like, "We don't need it anymore," blah blah blah. But I think the case has been proven that we do need it because there is disparity in there's disparity everywhere,
Mhm.
and equal hiring practices are not happening, and people are not getting equal pay. And it makes sense to have these statutes where it says, "Hey, you got to treat people equally in some respects." So,
yeah, it's repealing Prop 209 from 1996, which ended affirmative action programs, and it's I think anyone that doesn't quite understand what affirmative action does is it really creates a better balance, or at least it attempts to create a better balance and reverse discrimination. It reverses discriminatory practices. And I like what Pete wrote on his site. And let's see, affirmative action helps reverse centuries of discriminatory practices that have resulted in the systemic oppression of minorities we see today. And it's true. It's absolutely true. And this is part of 4 propositions on the ballot that are addressing systemic racism. So this one, Prop 17, Prop 20, and Prop 25. So I voted yes.
I voted yes.
I voted yes too.
Yes.
I'm so proud of you guys. So proud.
It's like easy. I like the ones where it says no fiscal impact.
Yeah, right. Love that.
Gets me all excited.
So we got three yeses on this one.
Yeah.
I think even the most forward-thinking person that benefits from the system suffers from being like has biases built in that are so deep they don't even know that they have them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like so even people that aren't consciously, say if there's a white person only hiring white people, even if it's not a conscious thing, it's still happening. You know what I mean? Like they look at 2 people who are completely both qualified, both have the right education, and then they'll look at one person's name and another person's name, and they'll make a decision based on that. And it's like that shit happens all the time, and it's not fair. It's not okay. You know? So I think it's important. I think it's important because people will not do this on their own. They just won't.
They won't.
They won't. They need a little help. They need a little push in the right direction. So I think it's important.
I completely agree. Next, we ready to move on?
Yeah, I think so.
We got
17.
nine more propositions to go.
Jeez, we'll be here till.
That's why I want to roll through them as quickly as possible.
Okay, so Prop 17 restores right to vote after completion of prison term. Legislative constitutional amendment. This restores voting rights upon completion of prison term to persons who have been disqualified from voting while serving a prison term. I voted yes.
I voted yes too.
I voted yes as well. It's
a part of the deliberate voter suppression that takes place in this country.
Absolutely. To say that you like one of the few rights you have in this country, one of the few rights you have that you were born with is that at 18, and that's only been for the last 40 something years, but at 18 you get to say who represents you in government, and to take that away from someone for
life
because they committed a crime, take it away from the rest of their life.
Yeah,
is saying like because you committed a crime, you are less of a citizen, and that's just not the way. That's not the way it should be. That's not the way it should work. I think that it's there are plenty of people who've committed crimes who didn't get caught, and are still voting, and it's like, because we know you committed a crime, we're going to remove this right from you. We're going to take this away from you. And it's just not, it's not fair, especially if you shouldn't vote while you're in jail. That's probably not a good idea. But once you're out,
well, it's just better.
It's what? Ought to?
Yeah. Once you've completed I was just saying, like, once you complete your term of punishment, whatever that may be, if you got convicted of a crime, then I don't see why it's necessary to hold on to this thing of, perpetual punishment within society. Right. We have the right to usher ourselves a new opportunity and move forward. There's so many people that have gotten second chances in our society. For God's sake, we elected the governor in the state of California. That doesn't say something. A man who could barely act became our governor. I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
He just had surgery for something.
A new valve in his heart.
Really?
Huh. Yeah.
Anyway.
Randomly son.
Yeah, no.
So we're all a yes on that one?
Yeah, we're all a yes on one. Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
For days. Days
and days and days. So we had 3 yeses on that one. That's pretty cool. Another triple yay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, 18.
Yeah.
Yep.
Allow 7.
Oh, you want to go? Or we go?
This one allows 17-year-olds to vote in the primary elections if they will turn 18 by November general election. Yeah.
This is
absolutely.
A good one.
Yeah. I think we bring. I think you bring a. It's funny too because I just saw. I've been watching West Wing as well.
Oh, that's a weird.
It's a weird show. It's too hopeful to be the real White House. It's too it's way too idyllic in order for it to be the actual White House. But I've learned a lot about sort of how government can work, and sort of just the processes of how the White House deals with the Senate and the Supreme Court and what have you. I mean, they had a few advisors to Clinton on the show who helped run the show. And so they had some real White House experience on the show, and I gotta say it was there was an episode this week that I watched that where some youth were talking about lowering. They came to the White House to visit, and were trying to convince the White House to lower the voting age, which would I mean that wouldn't necessarily be a White House decision. It would be a vote for the folks, for the peeps. Right. But I could see the value in letting 16-year-olds vote, and their argument was that young people are going to inherit a country that they had no part, that they had no right in helping build, that the decisions we make now are going to impact them more than they'll impact us for the most part. And that they should have an opportunity to say, "Hey, this is going to be my world," So, yeah, I voted yes.
Yeah. All right. Prop 19.
When I just, I know we're kind of rushing along here, but as a teenager, I know that the act of voting was presented to me as something boring that adults do. And I think that's another deliberate way to keep people from becoming invested in the process. you know, and to make them feel, like you said, like they're outside of it. They can't participate. But you know, the youth, that's where the passion is. You know what I mean?
Pasiones.
Like, I mean, you've got a shit ton of 15-year-olds in this country right now. And if they had the opportunity to vote, you know, this election wouldn't even be a fucking question. You know what I mean? I mean, these are the people that are going to have to deal with the brunt of the climate crisis. They're going to be, when the shit hits the fan in 10 years, they're going to be 25 and like in it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
These are the ones that have the most to lose with everything going on right now, and they should be allowed to be involved. I think you know, like Atu, you were talking about the importance of making sure that Otley does his chores, that you teach him, you instill in him a work ethic, that it's important to you to do it now so that it stays with him for the rest of his life. And I feel like voting should be one of those things.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like that's more the reality, especially the last 4 years. Adults have been, you know, priming the youth, vote. Like, it's changed very much from when I was a teenager. But that's only because shit has gotten so bad that, you know, that we all have to be more invested. So,
and resilient.
And I say, and teenagers are fucking smart, you know. It's not, they don't get enough credit.
Well, I mean, and they're the ones out protesting. They're the ones out speaking their mind because they have no other recourse. They have no other opportunity. Yeah,
for sure.
I'm
very excited. All the kids from Parkland get to vote in this election cycle.
That's a big thing. That's a big thing.
Every 4 years, the electorate gets bigger and bigger. I mean, it gets bigger every day. But you're talking about a much larger handful of people joining. Right. You know, I mean, and it's huge. I mean, you're talking about, you know, nearly 200 million people who can vote. You know, it's a lot. That is a lot. Yeah. Okay. 19.
In Vietnam, he was 19. No.
Changes certain property tax rules, legislative constitutional amendment. It's another one of those constitutional amendments that are on here. This was put on the ballot by the legislator. It says homeowners who are over 55 disabled or wildfire disaster victims to transfer primary residence tax base to replacement residents. Changes taxation of family property transfers, establishes fire protection services fund, fiscal impacts. Local governments can gain tens of millions of dollars of property tax revenue per year, probably growing over time to a few $100 million per year. Schools will receive similar property tax gains. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I voted yes.
I voted yes.
I voted no. This is through the Association of Realtors wrote this one, and it's to goose their profits from home sales by providing property tax discounts for older customers. This year's measure allows homeowners over 55 to transfer their reassessment immunity when they move to another house of any value anywhere in the state, as many as 3 times. So basically, if you get your home reassessed and it's like $900,000, and then you move to a new place, you're going to hang on to that assessment no matter where you move to, and it's to compensate public coffers. It increases taxes on property that's inherited, which oddly enough, realtors don't make money on. This is less of a pure giveaway than the failed Prop 5 of 2018, but it will still exacerbate financial inequality and perpetuate inequitable property tax burdens. So when you buy real estate, according to Pete, when you buy real estate, the purchase price becomes the assessed value upon your property taxes, upon which your property taxes are based. The assessed value then rises a maximum of 2% every year. Regardless of how much the actual market value increases over time, the property's actual value may double, triple, or more, but its assessed value will change only slightly. Under the current law, homeowners who are over 55 or severely disabled, or whose property has been damaged by a natural disaster or contamination, can transfer their artificially low property assessments when they purchase homes of equal or lesser value. They can do this once in their lifetimes. Both homes must be in the same county or in one of 10 counties that allow inter-county transfers. Prop 19 would extend this assessed value transfer scheme to homes of any value, any place in California up to 3 times. This provision will reduce overall property tax revenues for the state and local governments because fewer homes will be assessed at full value. So basically, you buy a $2 million house, but you're moving from an $800,000 house that your assessed property value is now $800,000, and you're only paying taxes on $800,000, not $2 million. And so the city and the state, the county and the state get a much less cut of the taxes that they should be getting because taxes are paid on assessed value. So
this only happens if you're 55 and above, disabled, or in one of those wildfire disaster situations. Right. So it doesn't happen for every homeowner, but it closes a loophole for that protects this very
they can already do it. So the idea here is that they can already transfer that the way the law is now is homeowners can do that once. They can already do it. They can already get their new property assessed for their former property, right? Under their when they buy a home of equal or lesser value, they can do it once in their lifetime, and both homes must be in the same county. All right, so the law already protects those folks. What this does is this opens it up to basically anyone who lives anywhere in the world can do this. So it basically helps out folks who don't even live in the place that they're buying the property, right? And this law would make it so that they have to, it basically changes a law that doesn't need changed. But I mean, like, it's also a very complicated law. And we will likely never come into contact with a law like this. This may never apply to any of us, unless we buy a house before we're in our 60s,
Right.
So I voted no because there's already a law in place that seems to cover it. Let's see. Brian Sisko says Prop 19 has been called the Lebowski prop since it will increase taxes on Jeff Bridges since he has an inherited mansion in SoCal.
Nice.
That's funny. He just Jeff Bridges just came out. He has lymphoma.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's very sad. Okay, so thank you, Brian Sisko. I always love Brian's additions to the show.
Me too.
There you go.
You're the best. You're the goddamn best, Brian Sisko.
Jolly sort.
Yeah. So I was a no, and you guys were yeses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I voted yes.
I voted yes also.
That's fair. It's that's your. You know what? And I will die protecting that right for you to do that.
All right. I'm trying to high five Atu right now. But...
I'm gonna high five you guys too.
Wildfire victims, so they can transfer their land titles and retain some dignity.
Okay, Prop 20. Prop 20
restricts parole for certain offenses currently considered to be nonviolent. Authorizes felony sentences for certain offenses currently treated only as misdemeanors. It's a state initiative. It was put on ballot by petition signatures. So it's a weird law, but it says limit access to parole program established for nonviolent offenders who have completed the full term of their primary offense by eliminating eligibility for certain offenses. Fiscal impact, it says it'll increase in state and local correctional court and law enforcement costs likely in the tens of millions of dollars annually, depending on implementation. What your vote means. A yes would mean what?
Voting yes means that for misdemeanor offenses, for lower level offenses, people would spend more time in jail to be slave labor for the prisons. That's what it is.
Listen to this sentence. Requires police, this law requires police to collect DNA from adults convicted of misdemeanors such as shoplifting and non-felony domestic violence. It creates new mini 3 strikes theft crimes, allowing repeat shoplifting or petty theft to result in a felony charge. There's no compelling reason to do any of these things. Prop 20 is an attempt by Correctional Officers Association to keep convicts in prison longer so there'll be more work for officers. That's a horrible and pathetic rationale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is for state-mandated violence.
It closes a loophole that allows convicted child molesters, sexual predators, and others convicted of violent crimes to be released from prison early. But it doesn't say anything about that in the that's the argument, but it doesn't say anything about that in the bill. So it's confusing to me. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
This is a horrible law. This is horrible.
No. I can't do an N. I voted no.
Yeah. Fuck Prop 20.
Fuck Prop 20.
I'm not with it.
I am not with it.
Not with it. I just don't trust any petitions that are put on by signatures anymore because somebody paid for that to happen. And it's usually some sinister shit going on with that.
Sinister. All the money.
Sinister. 21, bro.
Yeah.
21, bro.
Yeah. Expands local government's authority to enact rent control on residential property. Yeah, this is the initiative statute. They want to give us a little bit more rent control, a little bit more freedom for local governments to do so, because we have a constitutional amendment where in the state of California they can't set rent control. So this is going to free it up a little bit better for people to establish rent control within local municipalities. So I don't know what you voted. What did you vote, Mike?
I said no. I said fuck that. I want my landlords to be able to make as much money as they want. Just through the nose. No, I'm kidding. This is 21, you said? Yeah. I voted yes, of course.
Me too.
Yeah, because we're not stupid or hateful people. That's why.
And the last time we voted, they put a very similar measure on the ballot and worded it weird, and nobody voted for it. And then everybody felt really dumb.
Yeah, it really comes down to the language.
I hate when they do that. It's just another example.
That's why you got to dig into the.
Thank you for making a correct, informed choice.
It's crazy the way they're able to get away with language.
Where you have to watch everything because they got it shoved in all the little cracks and sticky places.
Measure RR, which we
Measure
RR. Oh my God. Oh my God. The Caltrain one, too. I don't know if you remember that one. Measure RR. It was that one's like it on its face. Like that's a big yes. Like yes, let's save transit.
Yeah, but then when you read it, it's like, wait, what?
Wait, hold up. This only benefits a bunch of folks who make 80 grand or more up the peninsula, you know?
Yeah.
We're going to pay to save Caltrain, and yet folks up the peninsula are the only ones who are going to ride it.
And they already have enough money to operate.
And they already have enough money to operate.
They don't
need
any more money.
It's just lining pockets.
They don't need any more money. Yeah.
All right.
I know.
I'm so angry.
But that's how they split stuff in, B. That's why we gotta have more discussions like this. You know, we gotta do this. So how you want this, B? Because I'm looking at this one way, and you looking at it like that, and then.
I'm worried about you.
Dialogue. We're talking. We're making decisions.
We are decision people.
Yeah. All right. Prop Deuce. What's up with
Deuce?
Deuce. Exempt-based transportation and delivery companies from providing employee benefits to certain drivers.
Deuce. This is the big one.
So this one, this whole, everybody knows about this one. This whole initiative is sponsored by, cultivated by, written by Uber, DoorDash, and Lyft.
Yeah.
So that should tell you something. And then all of their ads have been like, vote yes and keep your freedom.
I'm a mom,
and
I want to be able to make money.
I'm Sheila.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen such bad acting, but like on the level though, I'm like, yo, they really putting it in right here. They really trying to. But everybody that I know has been like, no, I'm not voting for this crap. No.
I tried to hang on to, but we had so many of the political cards that come in the mail. You know, the big giant posters that they send, and we got so many of them, and I got so many yes on Prop 22 cards. Like, they are pushing so hard. It's like all that money that you spent on this proposition, you could have put back into your drivers. You know, like, why don't you want
$1 million they spent? $180 million. They did TV ads, they did print ads.
Because they're spending that money because and this is probably going to pass, honestly, because with the way it's written, it makes it seem like it's for the people, you know, and it's just an investment in the future of the company is what it is. It's an investment. It's an investment in their investors, you know.
Yeah, they're just avoid having to pay for healthcare, but I think, you know, if we go to a single payer system, that'll solve the problem for everybody. But nobody wants to do that. I don't know why.
I love the sentence that Pete wrote on this one from PeteRates.com. He wrote, his summary was, a breathtakingly self-serving bylaw from and for online rideshare and delivery companies, Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, and others. A breathtakingly self-serving bylaw. Yeah, that says it all. To me, it says it all. It is all it does is it just benefits these companies, and it doesn't help drivers at all.
And it also doesn't have anything to do with the issue that we're having with AB5, which is the gig working law. It doesn't address all.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like so for AB5, they want every comedian, band member, poet that rolls through the caravan and performs to be a fucking employee.
Right.
Like, we cannot do that. That is not a possibility. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So
gig law that they've got going.
In August, the legislature was obliged to modify AB5 to exclude freelance musicians, writers, photographers, interpreters, and certain others from the requirement to work as employees. Those changes went into effect September 4th, and there's going to be more and more tweaks on AB5.
Good, I hope
so musicians have been taken off, writers have been taken off. We're
all made in the shade.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the reason why they did that is because, you know, you have the Writers Guild lobby, you have all of those different entities in which we're like, well, we already have a system in place. We don't need y'all to help us out here. Like, you know, I think some of those industries are protected in a way. You know, the Writers Guild, Directors Guild, those type of industries, they have protections for their people. They have a union. They have a setup already. They have relationships with the studios and that kind of thing. And they don't want any other type of entity coming in and disrupting that process. But for these type of contracted employees, they have no one.
That's right. The protection. It's a different scenario for sure.
So those of you watching who are unfamiliar with AB 5, this was legislation passed in California in 2018. The California Supreme Court unanimously ruled that workers in the state should be classified as employees. The following year, the legislature essentially codified the ruling by passing Assembly Bill 5 of 2019, AB 5, which requires most workers to be employees. It went into effect at the beginning of this year, and it's the bane of existence for so many people who run festivals, who run anything really. And the idea was that any performance space, any freelance work,
a hairstylist for their music video, or a choreographer, or a photographer,
a designer for who works,
employees is a ridiculous ask. It doesn't make any sense,
And so it's been sort of initially it was sort of designed to attack Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash, Instacart, and other gig economy companies. And the idea is that through AB 5, they're supposed to be classified as employees, which they are famously not. They're just they're independent workers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so the idea is that this is supposed to force these companies to take care of them, to say, hey, you can't drive any longer than these hours, which those rules are in place, but they're not necessarily enforced. And they're not necessarily getting medical benefits. They're not, So I voted a big fat no.
Me too.
Prop 22. But I heard Atu. I heard you voted yes. That's crazy. That's wild.
No.
I just wanted to see if you were paying attention. That's all.
I'm paying attention.
Oh, I know. I'm just messing with you. Boom. All right. So three no's, no yeses.
Yeah.
Prop 23. Atu, you want to take this one?
Yeah. Establishes state requirements for kidney dialysis clinics. Requires on-site medical professional initiative statute. It's been put on a ballot by petition signatures. Basically, this law, if it goes into, requires a physician, nurse practitioner, or physician assistants to be there on site at the dialysis spots. Currently, right now, there's no requirement for said professionals to be on site while these dialysis machines are run. There is some risks involved one way or the other. It will probably cost more for folks to get dialysis treatment offsite from hospitals, but I think it is better for there to be some physician oversight. So for me, I decided to vote yes on this one because I looked at who was against, and the organization that's against it is the same organization that runs the dialysis spots. So it seems to me like, hey, well, if the people that run the place is against this thing and is asking for them to have a doctor or a nurse there, a doctor or a nurse practitioner there, then there's got to be a reason why they don't want that to happen, because they've been doing some wild boy shit probably. And I'm not with wild boy stuff. I need people to be feeling protected. Friends, like if my friend Mike McGee had to go get dialysis at this spot, wouldn't it be nice to have a doctor there in case there wasn't some type of emergency? I don't know.
Yeah. Do you know Cody Woods, Atu?
Yes, I do know Cody Woods.
Comic.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what Cody had to say about this. Hey everyone, Prop 23 is a yes. I was a dialysis tech for 4 years. Prop 23 is a yes. Fresenius and DaVita are evil companies that don't want oversight on the dangerous shit that dialysis treatment centers do to their patients daily. As a tech, I had to break policies all the time just to keep my job. Fuck DaVita and fuck Fresenius. Especially with COVID, Prop 23 is a definite yes. These patients and employees deserve better. Now, on the con side, they're threatening to shut down a bunch of dialysis places in lower income areas as a result of this. So
that just shows you how evil their corporation is.
Shows you how evil they are. That is their argument, is that Prop 23 would force many community dialysis clinics to shut down, threatening the lives of 80,000 California patients who need dialysis to survive. So that's a threat. That's, if we have to do this, we're shutting these clinics in these areas down. So what do you do? Do you think it's true? Do you think that they would do that?
No, I don't think so.
So
making money, no.
So the let's see. In 2019, the chains, DaVita and Fresenius, were caught running a scam involving the American Kidney Fund, a nonprofit that receives over 80% of its money from Fresenius and DaVita. So they pay into this fund, right? The chains pushed Medicare dialysis patients to drop Medicare and enroll in private insurance instead, with premiums paid by AKF. The chains then charged private insurance companies 4 times as much for the same services. California shut down the scam with a new law signed last October, despite a $2.5 million full court press from Fresenius and DaVita. The upshot for Prop 23 is that its thunder has been stolen by the legislature. So all Prop 23 is going to do is require a bureaucrat to okay service changes and mandate the presence of an extra medical professional. Will the union ever exact its revenge on the chain? So basically, this proposition, according to Pete, is it's an attempt by United Healthcare Workers Union to basically just to keep poking at Fresenius and DaVita. And it's a retaliation for resisting unionization. But what this proposition does is that it forces them to accept all patients regardless of their insurance. And because of that idea, the legislature went ahead and enacted that last year. So that's already part of the law now, that they have to accept all insurances, including Medicare. So I voted no on it because I think that it's a tiny step in making things right in these places, in these facilities, and it's honestly, it's not getting to the heart of the problem with why people need dialysis in the first place. You know, we are a country full of diabetics, you know, and more new diabetics every day. And basically forcing a bureaucrat, you know, it's like, as a patient, you have to complain. You have to show what is happening, what's going on. If a facility has to ask a bureaucrat, somebody in the state legislature to okay any sort of staff change, that's going to slow things down. It's going to create a lot of red tape. Honestly, I could have gone either way on this one.
I said yes.
Yes. I said yes.
I said no. But again, I could have been convinced, either way, honestly, because I think it's a relatively small change to what is already happening. So, in my mind, but this was 23.
That was 23.
Oh gosh, we're so close, y'all. We're so close.
More, yo.
We got 2 more left.
But this is what I love about America, folks. This is what I love about California is that I can vote one way, you can vote other ways, and we're still friends at the end of the day. Okay, 24. Consumer privacy. I voted yes on this one. So I love it. I love the idea that in California, when you go to websites that want to throw cookies into your browser, and save data on your computer and keep data of yours and then sell it, which most companies do, we have a law in the state of California that lets you opt out of that. So let's see. California already has a consumer privacy law regulating how companies can use and share your personal information. It went into effect earlier this year. Already, it's under attack by a business lobby eager to track your behavior and sell your information. Prop 24 will prevent the legislature from weakening the law and add stronger consumer protections. That is hugely important. At this point, California is getting closer to the same standard that a lot of European countries have with regard to consumer privacy. I mean, in Germany alone, you have to get so much permission from people to be able to use their data. Now, that's not to say that they're not grabbing it and using it, but there are a lot more protections lined up. So I voted yes on this one.
I voted yes on this as well. It didn't make any sense for me not to vote for it. Plus, if my privacy is protected, that means I can make more money off my own data than, let's say, a company would. So if I have data to share, I can make some real loot off of it.
Loot?
Yeah. I voted no because all it basically does is give permission to pay for extra privacy. That's all it does is it gives you an option to give these companies money to keep your stuff private. And guess what? I don't think shit's private anymore. I don't think shit's private.
Yeah, I mean
it's over. We got tracking devices in our phone.
Yeah, they know everything about us.
Alexa in our house listening to every fucking word we say. It's like privacy, the idea of privacy is a fucking fallacy. I voted no.
I also try to look like I kind of like try to think about how there's folks out there who are like so concerned that their shit's gonna get stolen, and it's like your emails of your grandkids, I get it. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's creepy to think that there are bots and companies and apps and devices and stuff that are just taking your info. The other day, I said something that I can't remember what it was. I was talking about something, and just like a week ago, and a few days ago, that thing came up as something I could buy. And this was not a thing that I've ever really mentioned out loud before. And suddenly it was an option. There was advertising for that thing. And I'm like, okay, that's fucking creepy. But that's, that's what you're opting into when you have a device.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
once you have a device, you're opting into that device learning you.
Exactly.
Learning you. And it's almost like those confidence men, like the circus barkers, the folks like, sir, come on over here, sir. Let me see if I can guess your weight. It's just like anything to get money out of you.
Yeah.
I will do anything I can to get money out of you. And there's no person you can go to and be like, you did this.
Yeah.
You ripped me off. you made me buy a thing on Amazon that I didn't really need. You know, it's like it's so hands off and creepy.
And don't forget that whenever you are participating online, you're the product.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's you're the you're the thing being
what's
sold.
What's the documentary? What's the documentary?
Social Dilemma, right?
Social Dilemma. Yeah.
It's capitalism. That's capitalism, of course, but
oof.
That's what it is. But
what
was that?
What?
I don't mind getting that ad from Savage Fenty, like watch this fashion show. Like I don't mind. Like if,
I mean, as a kid, I didn't understand why people hated commercials. I enjoyed them. You know, I enjoyed commercials because it was just sort of like, hey, watch this thing. But I mean, we're gonna get to a point. Mark my words. In the next, in the next probably 6 or 7 years, there are going to be ads where like the person in the ad is saying your name. Like, hey, Atu, do you want to eat this cheeseburger? You know, like, hey, Rachel, you know, it's that AI shit, you know, like that, like, you know, I mean, we're not that far away from it, you know, it's the,
going on hike and tune out and stuff like that. Like, I feel like every time I go ride my bike now, it's like that's my opportunity not to have to answer my fucking phone, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel you. Like it's really with it. Let's get to the Prop 25 now.
Atu, do you have a date waiting for you in the?
No. let's just get to it.
Come on, guys, come on. All right, this is the last one. That's the last one.
The big one, and this is something that is near and dear to Atu Walker.
Just the phrase eliminate bail was like the biggest yes that I could shout from the rooftop.
Now Atu has gone to the state capitol, correct?
Yes.
Talk to us, Atu. Talk to us about it.
This is your wheelhouse, bro.
So this is the deal with this one. Now, we had an opportunity to eliminate bail within the legislature, and then the folks who wrote the bill did some last-minute changes that kind of like took the meat out of it because they wanted to pass it as like a thing that they could say, well, we got rid of money bail in the state of California, this and that. But in all actuality, they didn't. And we still have money bail to this day. Now they've decided to try and put a similar thing on the ballot, but also what is going to happen here with this is if a lot of people vote yes, is then there will be like a commission in every county that's set, and it's going to be arbitrary. It's going to be an arbitrary process about who gets released on their own recognizance and who doesn't. And so with the current state of things in our laws and practices within the judicial system, it seems to me that this law puts a risk in a way where folks who are making decisions are the same folks putting folks in jail. And if those folks are the same people making the decisions about who gets to leave and who gets to stay, then we're going to have far more people in jail. If there isn't some real deep to systematic guarantees that won't happen. There's nothing in this measure that it really focuses on that or would help the situation out or provide any specifics on how those things are going to be run. So my vote was no. My vote was no because it doesn't do better than what we currently have. It actually is going to make things worse and put more people in jail, which is what we don't want. We don't want people infinitely in jail. And it doesn't solve the money bail crisis in that sense at all. What it does is create more opportunity for folks to just be rotting in there until a trial.
Rachel?
Yo.
Thoughts? Yeah.
Well, I voted yes because it Sounded good to me. No one would pay bail to be released from jail before trial. And this is the part you're talking about, Atu. People would either be released automatically or based on their assessed risk of committing another crime or not appearing in court and released. So it's about who's doing the assessing.
Yeah.
And according to what I've read, it's an AI algorithm that calculates a person's risk of committing a new crime or failing to appear in court based on personal and demographic data. Now, and it says here that the potential for bias is great. However, Prop 25 requires the state to adjust the algorithm regularly. It's the current law is unjust. I mean, right now, poor people awaiting trial have to stay in jail. Bail it's constitutional by definition. It is part of the Eighth Amendment. It's pretty simple in concept. When you're arrested, the court will set you free as long as you promise to appear in court when required and you provide something of value as collateral. If you appear as required, the bail is returned to you. If you skip your court appearance, the state keeps the bail and may rearrest you. Each county maintains a schedule listing the amount of bail required for each crime. For example, bail is $10,000 for domestic assault in Mendocino County, $100,000 for mayhem in Los Angeles County, and so on. Judges can adjust these figures at arraignment. If you happen to have that kind of cash, you provide it to the court and go on your merry way. If you don't, you call a bail agent and arrange for a loan known as a bail bond. The non-refundable premium for the service is generally 10 to 15% of the bail amount. And if you cannot afford even that, you are stuck in jail until your trial. Your net worth determines your treatment. Cash bail bond. Okay, so we know all this. Prop 25 will eliminate bail in California. It will require release within 12 hours of arrest for most misdemeanors. For more serious misdemeanors and felonies, arrestees will be categorized for risk. Those deemed low or medium risk will be released within 36 hours, with possible supervision for medium risk people. High-risk arrestees and those accused of severe felonies would remain in jail. At arraignment, Prop 25 will generally require release until trial, unless prosecutors can show high likelihood the accused might commit a new crime or fail to appear in court. Under Prop 25, your net worth will no longer determine how much time you spend in jail. Far fewer people will be jailed until arraignment and trial, and those who are jailed will be there for the right reasons: risk of criminal behavior, non-indigence. It's not perfect. Placing arrestees into those three risk categories is a tall order. Today, courts have latitude to change bail at arraignment based on seriousness of the crime, prior record, and the risk of a new crime or skipped court dates. So there's a lot going into the assessment, the artificial intelligence risk assessment.
I mean, doesn't that sound dystopian to you? Like, we're going to let an AI make a determination.
Now, who's building the AI? That's the question.
Exactly.
Right? Can AI be racist? Can AI be opportunist? Can AI be, depends on who's creating it, right? So I look at it.
Sorry, they're saying it's a new discriminatory system of computer-generated profiling administered by government bureaucrats.
But it's still then up to, so the assessment is made, and then it's up to the prosecutors and to decide if that assessment is correct, right?
Yeah. So decision still isn't in the AI's hands. The AI may be like, well, let this person out. And then it still has to go before the prosecutor and the judge to be like, yes or no. So my question is, why not just have a hearing? Would that, like you do that, you have that hearing within the first 24 hours of release or go, and you do the assessment there. You have friends and family or whatever, just make the arraignments quicker. That's all they really have to do. In my opinion, you can have an arraignment.
Well, and this law apparently is the idea is that it's going to ensure. Now, if you're charged with killing somebody, right?
Yeah.
The chances of flight are pretty high especially if you did it. Like your chances of running are pretty high if you did it. And this will, in theory, I don't know. I mean, this is a tough one, but I look at it like this: get cash out of jails, get cash out of the bail system, get it out of there. It's got no business being in there, because basically think about all the folks that we know who have gone to jail and had to stay there because they couldn't afford to get out. Like that's the whole point. It just makes no sense. And this at least to me is at least a step in getting folks out of jail based on what they're there for, as opposed to their financial status in life, As
the person that worked on the law before its iteration that it is now, there was some meat to the risk assessment stuff. And this situation here just makes it super arbitrary and not good. And so I know I'm against it, and I don't want to get rid of money bail, but I would rather it be a more equitable process.
Not this way.
Not this way. Not an AI, and then you still have the judge and the prosecutors making the decisions.
So you would do.
Like,
who would you?
There's no oversight.
How would you go about oversight? What would your model be?
So I would like for the state of California to have what we have here in Santa Clara County, where we have the police auditor, and I think if we had a state California commission that had a similar kind of statute where they investigated the police and they had their own enforcements and stuff like that, where they can get this type of stuff done. I would like a statewide agency where that's all they did, and it was run by the community. You know what I mean? Outside of, and that will give some opportunity for some balance here. There needs to be some balance in the justice system. It needs more public oversight of why people are making decisions the way that they're doing. And if we're talking about judges, there's plenty of examples, but there's one extreme example of this judge where he was profiteering himself within. He was making sentences longer for people of color and in his community, and he was profiting off of that because he's making direct money from the jailer. That type of thing is occurring within our society right now, within the justice system in the state of California. We have more private prisons than most countries. Like, we have so many people in prison in the state of California. It is ridiculous, and a lot of it is from petty crimes. A lot of it is just from petty crimes, and we send people to jail for 20 years because they had a bit of dope on them during a traffic stop. We send people away for 30 years for stealing a bag of chips. State of California is doing this. We're not talking about Texas, B. We're talking about LA County is one of the worst places where you can get arrested. San Bernardino County, same similar situations. We have very conservative judicial oversight in the state of California, and it disproportionately affects people of color all throughout the state of California. It disproportionately puts people of color in jail all throughout the state of California. And so when we look at laws like this, my argument always is, why are we making the laws more stringent? Why are we giving them more power over? And it's the fact that they're even choosing a computer system in the first place says how much they don't have faith in our current justice system to be able to make this decision within itself. So
but who do you want to make those decisions? That's my question. If it's not gonna be AI, who is it?
We have to have community oversight. It's just that simple.
So there's a non-legal. You're talking about people who aren't lawyers, people who aren't judges, people who aren't cops, making these decisions. So you have like a bail panel of community folks,
doctors, janitors, whoever, like people who can look at it from not through the lens of how,
almost like a jury deciding whether or not a person should be able to go home before their court case.
Yeah, but it's like something like the Arts Commission, you know what I mean? Like it's just there and they get these papers come through and then people get elected onto it or something like that. And they go through and make these decisions. And it's not people that have any connection with law enforcement. It has to be people that don't have connection with law enforcement because that's the problem. When the problem is when we have people that are connected to law enforcement, all they can think of is, fuck these people, throw them in jail, and that's where we need to get away from it. We need to have a drug
unbiased,
unbiased drug commission where all they do is consider whether or not it'll be healthy for this person to get off drugs and how can we provide a resource for that. We have to treat the drug thing as like a health concern, not throwing people into jail.
I almost feel like you get the prosecutor and the defense, right? Who are like, well, this guy should stay in jail. This guy should go home, and to have another body of people, a panel that then sort of like has to make a citizen's decision in terms of whether or not that person should be released. I think what it does though, is that it definitely takes power away from people who want to keep that power, right?
Yeah.
For sure. I agree with you. I agree with you. But I wonder if this proposition is at least a step in a better direction. Because right now, like if I get arrested for something, I'm paying cash bail for sure right now. So are you, so is Rachel.
Most misdemeanors you'll get dismissed, you'll get kicked out. So the good thing is you won't have a lot of people sitting in jail on misdemeanors, which is currently what we do have. But I also don't trust the process either because it's like, we have recidivism in the state of California. If you've been in jail more than once and they see you pop through again, then you're going to be stuck there. The likelihood, whether you did it or not, what if you just got picked up or you're a known person? And that's the other thing too. It's like,
there's so many things, right? We can keep scraping barnacles off this fucked up ship,
It's just, that's the reason that, like, there's so many arguments of like how this can play out.
Right.
That's where I have the problem with it. You know what I mean? Like some of these other propositions that we went through, they're like, it's very clear how the thing will shake out. This one is something that we don't really know if this is going to work on a statewide level.
Is it worth it to try it?
I hope so. I hope this doesn't end up like 187. I hope this doesn't end up like 209, where we know that we need to flip it back. Because this has happened to us in the state of California with many laws and statutes that we've put forth thinking like, hey, maybe it's a good idea, but maybe that's what democracy is about. Maybe this is what democracy is about. Like, hey, we have to try and see if it'll work. Fine, but I have my reservations.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I feel like that's where I'm at with legislature. That's where I'm at with laws and with even with some political folks, people running for office. I'm like, okay, let's try your idea. Let's give it a shot. I might not agree with you on every single thing, but damn it, like the thing we came up with isn't working. So let's try your idea, it's I think about if we can get rid of cash bail, it's a shitty industry. It's a horrible industry that is inherently racist. It's completely unfair that a Brock Turner can not spend too much time in jail because, his family's got some money, whereas somebody who didn't necessarily commit a crime but just fit the right profile can't afford to get out and is going to spend, months in jail or longer because they can't afford to get out.
Yeah, and that person that goes to jail for that months of time, they're going to lose their job. They're going to lose their housing. They're going to lose,
so much more than just time.
Yeah. I always think about that kid. I'm so sorry. His name is escaping me right now, but he stole a backpack and ended up in Rikers.
New York.
He was accused of stealing a backpack. Ended up in Rikers for a couple of years and killed.
3 years he was in Rikers. He spent 180 days in solitary confinement.
And finally, it's that kind of stuff that is just, to me, it's so awful, and it happens all the time. There's so many people having a similar type of experience like that in jail right now.
So that's my whole thing. Like, Prop 25, I hope it works. I really do. If both people voted in, but this one should be close, in my opinion. But I think a lot of people are going to vote for it. I think that getting rid of money bail will be great. I think this will be a good start to it. But also, I don't trust the system enough to allow them full authority over the outcome of whether or not somebody goes to jail indefinitely or not. And that's the thing that sucks about it. That Rikers Island case is an exact thing because some young black man got lost in the shuffle for 3 years where his case just got pushed down and pushed down and pushed down because it wasn't important enough to address. And just assume he stole the backpack. And then he got out of jail and didn't know how to deal with the world.
They stole his life.
Yeah.
And didn't blink.
Yeah, I mean, he was a kid, he's 20, he was 19 when he got arrested.
I want to say
no, I think he was a senior in high school. He was on a train going to school somewhere.
And his family wasn't allowed to post bail.
No, because they didn't assign bail.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too. Like in certain situations,
Khalif Browder.
They don't have to assign bail, dude.
There's a documentary, the Khalif Browder story.
Yeah.
He was 16 when they sent him to Rikers.
16, yeah.
And then he held him 3 years without trial.
And he committed suicide 2 years after his release.
Yeah. He met Diddy. He met Jay-Z. Like a lot of people were pulling for him, like they were trying to help him out. He was getting all this attention, and he went from no attention to like all the attention, and then.
Well, so the same with the dude who filmed the Eric Garner murder.
Yeah.
That dude spent a lot of time in jail. I mean, I don't remember what he was arrested for, but man, they harassed him. Yeah. They poisoned him. It's heinous. It's some heinous shit. We got to get, I mean, I love the fact that, it did my heart a lot of good to hear Joe Biden say that he wants to stop, sending people to jail for drugs. And he wants to send them to, get them the help they need.
It is a health issue. I really think so. I think that, some people, when they interact with certain drugs and alcohol, just can't control themselves. So it's too late. They got to hit that brick wall.
Okay, so I love the fact that we weren't on agreement on everything. I was like, I know my friend so well. We're all yeses and nos together, and it's like, no, we're not. Not necessarily, but that's the thing too. Is I feel like they're it's you're voting on an idea, especially when they're introducing new legislation. You're just voting on an idea. Voting for Joe Biden is just voting on an idea. It's just that it's the best sounding idea today. There's two ideas, right? Yeah, but see, his idea, sorry, Rachel, but his idea didn't win the day. And that sucks because I definitely voted for Bernie in the primaries, you know?
Like, yeah, but he got railroaded by his own party.
But was it his party?
It wasn't time to put Bernie in.
It wasn't even the Republicans that sandbagged him. It was the Democrats, and they did it twice.
Yeah, they fucked
twice. They did it in 2016, and then they did it again.
Yeah.
You know, that's the depressing part, is that the people that are supposed to be, you know, on our side are
but Bernie country. Bernie's not on their side. You know what I mean? Bernie's and that's why they railroaded him. Is because they knew deep down he's gonna bring so many different changes in that it wasn't just gonna impact the GOP. It was gonna impact everybody.
Because
plus he has all the receipts. Bernie got all the paperwork.
I can't hear you guys. Sorry. All right, Rachel first.
The Democratic Party is just as full of moderate conservatives as the Republican Party.
For sure.
Yeah.
At this rate,
it's the same people. It's just what they've decided to stand before or against, you know.
Atu, what were you saying?
I think the reason why everybody was so afraid of Bernie is because he has all the receipts. You know, he got all the dirt on everybody. I almost know for a fact that's how he operates and functions as a legislator. He has all the dirt. He got all the receipts on him, and they don't want him in power because he's gonna pull. He's gonna be pulling the receipts out.
Well, I feel like he's the old cranky dude who's just like not up for the bullshit.
Yeah.
He's just not up for it.
I think that what he is a righteous man in a town full of sinners. You know what I mean?
There you go.
He is a righteous man. You look at his record, you know, he's just a fucking stand-up dude. And it's like, you know, they eat those people alive. That's what they do, you know. It's Bill Hicks used to have this, you know, joke about you ever notice how good men are murdered and mediocre hacks thrive? You know, John F. Kennedy murdered, Jesus murdered, Gandhi murdered, and then he would say Reagan wounded. That was the joke.
Yeah.
But you know, the point still holds true, is to be a righteous man in Washington is to have a target on your back. You know, and that's what happened to good old Burns. You know?
But what he's done too at the same time is that I think he's watered a garden that didn't know it could be a garden.
Yes, he's made great change. Great change. If it wasn't for him, climate change would never have even been brought up, even though they've kind of been floofing it over. But you know what I mean? The debates that are people are engaging about, a lot of
made it an issue.
He made them issues. They weren't brought up before.
And
led by this progressive movement. You know, now that you've got the Squad, you've got AOC, you've got all these progressives. Hopefully, Cori Bush wins and goes to the Senate. I mean, there's all these great candidates that I am excited to see. You know, get into that room and make things happen. And yeah, Bernie Sanders was a catalyst for all of that. And I think it's the greatest thing that he's done as a politician is to help catapult this movement into the mainstream.
Yeah.
More important than him being president.
Yeah. Question. Our next show isn't supposed to be until November 14th, I believe. Is that the next one? I think. 14th. Yeah. November 14th. Yeah. Because we got 5 Saturdays in October.
Gotcha.
Question.
Yeah.
Would you guys be down to do a special election night mighty late?
I'm down.
I'm down.
You down? Okay.
We have to have popcorn though.
And it's Atu's birthday. We get to celebrate.
It's Atu's birthday.
Ooh.
So a little birthday election show.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm taking that week off, so I don't know where I may be.
Okay.
Well, just be near a device to where you can, check in with us.
I think I was thinking about driving up to Canada.
They won't let you in, bro.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe I can go to Bellingham.
You can go to Bellingham.
You could do that.
I just talked with Sarah today. Go see her. Go say what's up.
Dude.
Hey, man. Hey, you know?
Yeah.
I love you both very much, and I want this world to
you.
be a better place.
You.
For you and your spawn.
Yeah. We bred up right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
go
let's give it up. Show number 5.
What was that?
November
14th. Show number 5. What were you saying there? So the next Mighty Late is not going to be November 14th.
It'll be November.
It's going to be November 3rd.
What, Tuesday?
Election night coverage.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if Ashley retains
election night. Yeah, it's gonna be real interesting.
I'm doing that a lot tonight. I don't know why. It's
do we want to? Because the polls close at 8 in California.
Okay.
So that's kind of a good time for us to then we can all each be monitoring something else on the internet and talking about results and things as they come in.
Cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be really dope, dude. Especially with all the early voting, they have a lot of numbers already, dude.
Oh yeah.
I want Mitch McConnell gone, Jamie Harrison in. I want who else do I want out? The president can suck a dick. I want him gone. This entire shitty ass bullshit cabinet of evil monster troll people. I want them gone. And then Lindsey Graham.
Jamie Harrison would take Lindsey Graham's seat.
Oh, Jamie Harrison was Lindsey Graham. I thought it was.
Yeah, Amy McGrath.
Amy McGrath.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I want those two dudes gone.
There's a Republican in Iowa who looks like she's going to lose her seat.
That's nice.
There's going to be some. I think there's going to be some pretty strong changeovers. We need the Senate.
We need 5. We just need 5 seats. It doesn't matter which 5. We just need 5 of them.
Is it even 5? I think it's 4, isn't it?
It's 5 seats so we can get the majority.
And I want Katie Porter to be our new senator. I want her to replace Kamala.
Who?
Katie Porter. She's a representative from Orange County, and I love her. And I want her to be our next senator. But right now, she's gonna get reelected to the House of Representatives. But yeah, I love her.
She's in the House of Representatives. I think I know who you're talking about.
The one that takes out a whiteboard and
Yeah. She's great.
Down with she was a teacher.
Yeah.
She was a middle school teacher and then a college professor.
I saw an interview with her and she was just like, yeah, fuck that. She was just straight up, and she's a mom too, right?
That's how she, I like all these straight talking women.
Moms in office.
Yeah, I like them.
MIO.
I feel like they're clearing a lot of these muddied waters and making politics more accessible to everybody.
Yep.
In the best way.
Yep.
The best way.
Okay, so we're a go for November 3rd. That's nice too, because then it's not a huge giant. Because right now we got like 3 weeks until our next show, and I'd rather not wait that long. So
right.
I appreciate you both being willing to do an election night event. Let's gather materials for that night, and I love you both.
Love you.
We're gonna end this broadcast right now.
Love you, Michael.
Yeah.
Love you too. You're the best. Those of you watching, please follow us. Oh dang, bye Atu. Okay.
Bye, Atu.
Those of you watching, follow us, fb.com/mightylate. And I was going to say, isn't Mr. Walker so handsome? But yeah.
He's a handsome man.
But he's gone. So
it's okay. He has a mirror.
I'm ending the broadcast. Bye,